Hey guys, welcome back to High Top Texas. Got a great show for you guys in store today. We've got our Texas Insider Lace Up with Lacey. We're going to talk about a big time commit from the transfer portal, then get into some recruiting talk with Lacey. She's throwing some dogs out here that I got some question marks about. You got a couple guys that aren't even committed to Texas, a guy that is favored to Texas, but all the top, I want to say top 50 players in the country. Look, I'm not saying I'd be shocked because Texas likes to get it done, but it's a lot of top talent that we got to go over. But before we do that, how are you, Lacey, and how's your weekend?
I'm doing pretty well. Thank you so much for having me on again. It's been a pretty good weekend. I watched a lot of softball this weekend. Texas softball has done really, really well this season. Number one overall national seed for the tournament. So let's get it. Let's go.
Big time stuff.
Super excited for that, especially since we just lost the Big 12 the Big 12 tournament championship to Oklahoma. Rough, but I mean, we're 2-2 on the season versus Oklahoma, and I'll take it with a regular season championship title and a regular season series win over Oklahoma. I'll take it. I ain't mad at it. Let's get it.
You could see a rematch in the championship between the two of you. In Oklahoma, it's the one thing they are good at is softball. As much as we want to hate on them, I love to hate on Oklahoma. They are good at softball. But I am excited because we do get to hate on Oklahoma with some fun passion, which
yeah.
I tagged you. I was pumped for it. Just look, I'm not gonna get fired up for a Texas commit often, but if you're stealing one from Oklahoma, sign me up. I'm all in. I think I probably am the same, not the same, but I'm pretty close to your guys' wavelength on the hatred for Oklahoma. They constantly crown themselves champions and they don't do anything. So, but you guys did land yourself a big one here in defensive line, which we did talk about. Defensive line as a big point of emphasis from you guys. He was from Louisville, then committed to Oklahoma. Now is committed to you guys. Jermaine Loyal, not quite sure. Let's hear about him and what does he do for your defensive line?
So he comes onto the 40 as an immediate starting rotator. So Sark and PK and the entire defensive line really like to rotate guys. It's one of the things we saw last season, especially it helps with whenever you have bigger guys up front like Tavondre Sweat and everything, whenever they're able to go to their second deep or their two deep and everything like that and be able to not have any serious drop off production wise. So not only does he provide good depth, but he's probably one of, if not the best run defender that we have on that line starting from day one. Very, very productive guy. He's had some lingering injuries later on in his career. So one of those guys there where if he can stay healthy, if we can keep him healthy, he's going to be very, very dangerous for us up front. He's got that Byron Murphy type build. So 6'3", 310 pounds. And is very physical, very aggressive, very, very Byron Murphy-esque up front. I'm not saying he's going to be Byron Murphy. I'm just saying.
Gotta clarify that.
The physicality and everything is there. Oh, for sure. Because, I mean, that's saying you're going to be a first rounder.
So Jermaine is coming from an incredible Louisville team last year. Should have been able to pull it off against FSU, but couldn't move the ball 3 feet down the football field. But that defense kept him in it as long as they possibly could. And you see here he's like a 6th year, 7th year senior, got that COVID year involved with him. But you were talking about his run defense being the best of his game with a 70.8. Obviously on PFF, you can see that overall defensive grade of 69.1. He was the second best defensive lineman on Louisville. And like I just said, this defense was pretty stout last year. So coming from a very great defense. And like you mentioned before on a previous show, the defensive line had a few question marks. And we were just talking as if they were moving on. They were content with where they were at. And now they went and got something. So you should be even more ecstatic than last time we spoke about where the team is at now because we felt that it was over with.
Oh, for sure. And I think it's just giving further proof that Sark never stops. Sark is going to recruit you through the whistle. He's going to be the type of guy that is going to keep in contact with and continue to create relationships with guys that he wants, the guys that he sees a future with in the program, the guys that he sees that he can bring in and they can come in and make a difference, So
Sure.
Sark is really big on building relationships and making sure that is kind of the forefront of the way that he recruits to Texas and the way that he recruits Austin. And I think that just continues to go and show throughout time with the amount of flips that happen, with how many times Sark has come in at the last minute and ended up getting the last second in-home visit.
Sure.
and comes out getting him the next day, you know? So Sark just proves time and time again that relationships are super important whenever it comes to recruiting. And because I don't know how many people know this, but Jermaine Lole, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, he was on campus last week.
Oh wow! So this has been a long thing going then. So what?
So they maintained relationships. They
Sure.
maintained communication even with his commitment to OU. They maintained communication, contact, and made sure that he knew that he was a need for us.
I talked about it on our main show with recruiting and what it's evolved to, because although it's gone to this NIL form where money is a high factor, that is still going to be a factor. But you're starting to see these guys hit the portal because although the money was there, they were happy with it. Ultimately, you still want to go play for somewhere that you're going to be developed and you're going to have mad success. So the guys that are really good at recruiting are winning the second time through versus these some schools that have maybe thrown the bag right away, like the Miamis of the world. Memphis is starting to get involved with throwing some cheddar around. Oklahoma, I don't know what they do down there, to be honest with you, so I'm not going to speak to them. Georgia, we have a Georgia channel. Their NIL isn't as highly as ranked as other NILs, but their success is able to overrun that as of now. But what we're starting to see is, again, the recruiting and staying on top of it and creating those relationships is still paying off even in the NIL era, if not more than ever. And it's allowing you to get to squeak an edge. You thought the money was going to squeak an edge when you realize, well, no, everyone's got money. So once that goes by the wayside, everyone's offering me the same thing now, right? Everyone's figuring out a way. If Memphis is in the conversation now, throwing cheddar, everybody can. Like literally, Memphis is in the conversation now with a lot of big time talent because they have the FedEx backing them, which is huge. I mean, I love it. I think that's the exciting part of NIL. You're seeing schools that never were able to compete in these competitions. And is it going to take Memphis to be a national contender? Not now, not in the next 2 years, no. But could it stack up? For sure, and that's what makes it exciting.
Oh, absolutely. And then I also think from the Texas side of it, or from the school side of it, it gives you the opportunity to, I mean, like I was talking about building relationships, you kind of weed out the ones that you know won't fit your culture, won't come in, and you know, if you're prioritizing relationships, especially in this NIL era, it's going to be really hard to recruit against you.
Sure. No, it's going to be fun to watch. And look, I think Texas had major success last year in the recruiting class. This year, I think Georgia's off to a little bit of a slow start. We talked about that. It's Georgia. They're gonna close just fine. Ohio State is on to a complete burner. But I was on the Oregon channel because Oregon's on a complete burner right now. And the last 14, 15 years, the SEC has won the recruiting title in the sense of finishing having the number one recruiting class. This year, it seems a little bit in jeopardy because obviously I don't think Bama's going to have a big run like they've had before. Georgia, it's hard to go back to back. They closed with the number one class last year. You usually see it go back and forth with Bama to Georgia and A&M. LSU is doing very well. But Texas they can continue that streak with the SEC, and they have always closed well for the last 2 years at least with Sark and company. And with the likes of Arch Manning coming in, and we're going to talk about some guys here that are definitely will put you over the edge if you were to land.
Well, I mean, we make the joke. We make the joke that, you know, Sark gets who he wants. You know, we all of us kind of send around the meme, the Dexter meme of him like praying with like Sark in the little photo, and it just says "stunt on these hoes."
Sure.
Because we know that Sark is a closer. Sark is a guy that's going to go in and he's going to convince whoever he wants to, you need to be on the 40 acres. You need to be at Texas. And he's proven that time and time again throughout his 4 years at Texas thus far. And getting Jermaine Lole just continues to prove that that's just Sark's MO. It's his DNA, it's his blueprint.
I can back this because we had Xavier Filsaime. We talked about him last show a little bit. Xavier Filsaime went to the Oklahoma and Texas game. For those who don't know, he committed to Florida in April of last year. The spring game was committed, one of the first ones, die hard, riding, carrying this class, leading this class, going on his Instagram Live saying, I'm a Gator, all these things. Goes to the Texas-Oklahoma game on his own accord. They find out that he's there, and they go, hey, Xavier. They give him an offer at that game and close in that time period. Talk about hot. Okay, I'm like, Billy, what what are we doing? They
What
showed up and they're
happened?
like, hey, she's kind of good looking. Like, what's up? Y'all want to move in? Like, we've had a thing. We've been loyal. What's up?
We've been there. What happened?
Ride or die. Didn't matter.
Where'd this go wrong, man? Where did this go wrong? And maybe that's why everybody put him on blast once the spring game happened, and there was
Listen,
there were a few things that were said that Texas fans obviously were like, screw you guys, and then obviously Florida's like, well, screw him. Like,
no, it's personal. So he went on IG Live saying it's Florida, like, you guys are not going anywhere, like, multiple times. I have clips of it, of us going, hey, we're fine. No. Now he puts it to the fact, look, to given his point, we fired his coach, the secondary coach. So he has some reason, and he says, look, they fired my coach. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it.
You're like, I'm not sold.
They worked him hard and heavy. I love it. But look, let's talk about these recruits for you guys for this coming up here. You got Jamie French with 2 Fs out of Mandarin High. Mandarin High has got some incredible talent. Tramel Jones, cornerback. I think an offensive line also. A highly touted offensive lineman is coming from Mandarin. That's in my area here in Jacksonville, Florida. So very familiar with that school. 3-star wide receiver, 5-star, currently committed to Ohio State. Let me pull this back here. If you flip this up gun from Ohio State,
Jamie French is committed to Ohio State.
Or highly favored to Ohio State. Crystal ball.
I was like,
Pardon me.
Hold up.
I think the only one that's committed is Decorum Moore to LSU. So
yes,
he's crystal balled, which tells me that he's going to Ohio State. So if you're able to pull him from the reins of Ohio State, I will be thoroughly impressed because they get who they want when it comes to wide receivers.
Yeah, but I mean, Ohio State isn't even on his list. It isn't even currently on his list of official visits. So I feel but facts, but not only that, but a report came out maybe last week or the week before that Jamie did an interview with one of the recruiting sites, and he actually said that he named his top 3 and Texas was his number 1.
Really?
So yes. So obviously Texas and Coach Steve Sarkisian, wide receivers coach Chris Jackson are coming in and they're obviously making a name for themselves and making an impression on the highly touted receiver, Jamie French.
With Arch Manning in the quarterback room, the number 1 quarterback just a couple years ago, and I say that I argue this for Florida with DJ Lagway. Those 2 schools, outside a few factors, but Texas has no issues. The issues that Florida has should have no problem pulling in somebody like a Jamie French with 2 Fs. So, look, Ohio.
Oui.
So we'll see how that one plays out. This young man, Riley Pettyjohn, is crystal balled, or you guys are favored to land him, the number 4 linebacker, 4-star, ranked 34th in the country. So they are all top 50 players. He is favored for you guys out of McKinney. We were just speaking of a player that came from McKinney, and that would be an Xavier Fields-Smith. So a incredible stocked-filled talent in Texas high school. And it looks like you guys are getting the pick of the litter once again. And look, you got to like to be able to land that again, given the fact that you do have Xavier Fields-Smith.
Oh, for sure. It definitely adds that recruiting element. It adds that connection to Texas to be able to be like, hey, go talk to go talk to Riley for a second. Go see how he's doing. Go check in with him. But Texas loves Riley Pettyjohn, and Riley Pettyjohn seems to love Texas. He does have a couple official visits set to Ohio State and USC currently. But current linebacker commit Bo Barnes is actually currently recruiting him heavy as well. They were talking about how they were hanging out at the spring game and how they've built this connection. They built this bond. They really enjoy, keeping up with each other. And I feel like they've built a pretty good bond especially with Bo Barnes being in the fold already. I think that's nothing but good news for Texas. And he's also a big need in that linebacker room, considering we only took one linebacker in last year's class, being Anthony Smith, a late flip from Steve Sarkisian.
So then this is probably going to be a good play for you guys because he'll look to have some immediate start time, and not having a pretty thick room, already having a relationship. This seems pretty locked and loaded here. And currently you guys sit 9th in the SEC, 6 commits total with a 93.25 average, 6 4-stars. Again, LSU is leading our class. Oklahoma is up there at number 2, but they recruit like Miami does. They've got 10
Mhm.
four-stars and 5 3-stars. They backload it. Um,
Mhm.
so with an average rating of 90.4, I don't see them. They might finish in
Mhm.
top 10 maybe because they'll backload it. They'll backload it, but that's neither
Oh,
here
for
nor there.
sure.
Texas again
3-star
with
you.
90. Yeah. So LSU is at number one right now with a 93.89 with 12 commits, 3 5-stars. One of those 5-stars being who's last on our list here. Lacey's over just throwing bows. I'm telling you. With Decorin Moore, I believe it's pronounced 5-star. The number.
Decorian Moore,
Okay.
aka DK Moore, for those that don't know.
Oh,
Decorian Moore is every bit of that 5-star. He is explosive. He is versatile. He is fast. He is quick. He is his oh my gosh, words. That's what happens whenever you watch Decorian Moore tape. He jumps off the page. He is extremely talented, and I think Texas has always felt good about their relationship with Decorian Moore because this has dated back to when he first committed to LSU. You know,
sure.
whenever he first committed to LSU, it was right after Colin Simmons and Caden Durham. You know, LSU was heavy. Obviously, Caden Durham ended up committing to LSU, and Colin Simmons ended up committing to Texas. There were rumblings all morning of where Colin Simmons was going. LSU thought it was a good possibility that they were going to be able to land both. Fortunately for us, Colin Simmons ended up coming down to the 40 acres, so that is great for us. But I lost my train of thought while I was talking.
Yeah, we're talking about obviously landing DK Moore, for those of you that don't know, alongside Colin Simmons. Both attended.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
what I was talking about, was his connection and everything, was because once Colin Simmons and Caden Durham committed, at the time, DK Moore was, through the rumblings and everything, was a pretty heavy lean to Texas. The relationship with Texas was great. And the news came out a couple days later that he was going to commit, and Texas was confused. Texas was like, "Wait, what? We don't really know what's happening, so that's not necessarily a great sign." And then he ends up committing to LSU, and kind of started off their current number one class. So that obviously sent them into a big upswing in their recruiting battle. But I think that the relationship with DK Moore and the relationship with his family, his mom, obviously being from the DFW area, they're Texas born, Texas made. Like they enjoy being from Texas. He does have some official visits to other schools. I believe he's got one to Oregon. There are a couple other schools that I believe that he is looking into and will be visiting. And this is something that LSU is known about. LSU is known that he was going to take that route, and he was going to be going to all of his visits and actually enjoy his recruiting cycle, you know?
Sure.
So I think that obviously it's hard to keep oh my gosh, words. It's hard to keep hold of a 5-star in general, especially whenever you're getting in from out of state, but
sure.
also whenever you're talking about a coaching staff that has produced 2 first round, or you had Xavier Worthy and AD Mitchell just go in the draft.
Mitchell should have been
and
much higher than what he was.
obviously,
Yeah.
oh, for sure. And obviously LSU has the more production whenever it comes to the proof is in the pudding whenever it comes to LSU
wide
in the
receiver
NFL.
U. Arguably wide receiver U.
For sure.
It's between them and Ohio
they
State.
deserve every ounce of that, for sure. They deserve every single ounce of that. But I do think that with DK Moore, it's going to come down to relationship. It's going to come down to where he just feels most at home. And Texas has always felt optimistic. Texas has always felt like they were in a good position to put a flip in.
This is why I love kind of talking with getting all perspective of this, because when I saw him go to LSU, I was like, yeah, this makes sense. The number one quarterback and Bryce Underwood. They also had, at the time, he was the number one running back. This thing changes like the wind, but they basically ended the 3 number ones. Bryce Underwood and DK Moore, you're like, yeah, it makes sense. But if you kind of take a step back, Garrett Nussmeier is the guy to take the helm over. A lot of potential upside for Nussmeier at LSU, a lot of excitement behind him, but still a lot of question marks. You're following behind the Heisman winner and Jaden Daniels. That team had a lot of question marks on the other side of the football. So could Jaden Daniels just be that magical? Now, Garrett Nussmeier came in, I think, in their bowl game and absolutely balled out, like 330, couple touchdowns, looked the part has been groomed for this. Kind of like a Carson Beck-esque at Georgia. He's prepared. He's ready to step in. This isn't some guy just being thrown to the wolves. So, but for me, how I'm looking at, if I am Texas and I am DK Moore, the push is you're not coming to a project, because I don't know how much time Garrett's going to be there, right? Garrett could be a one and done, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, I think his time is, that would be enough time under his belt. I don't think he would, because the class is going to be so thick, but who knows what the year could be. So if that is the case, Bryce comes in to be the guy. If that isn't the case, then I could see LSU with a strong push, because that's a year with Garrett, right? With only now 1 year under Arch Manning. So it's going to be a back and forth, and this could really come down, no joke, to the wire on National Signing Day, depending on how the season goes.
I think it's going to come down to the wire no matter what, because Texas is not going to stop recruiting him, and neither is LSU. So, I mean, it's going to come down to, neither or any of the other. Yeah. I'm telling you, this is just so fun. Like, I love being Texas now. I love being in this new Texas age, and I love being able to actually have these types of conversations, because
you're at the table.
Texas is.
You're at the table.
Exactly. We have
Oklahoma,
a voice at the table. We have a voice in the.
I just don't want everyone to
we have a voice in the national conversation, and Oklahoma doesn't.
I love that. So
Darn.
I can support that. I can support that any day of the week. I just know there's a few Sooner fans that probably will trickle in. I just like to make sure I get my jabs in while I can. So look, this is the one thing that
sure we have to.
I told you this on the phone. I don't know if I mentioned this on the last show, but I was like a insider, like closet Texas fan. Well, not everybody knows that I am, but now that in the SEC, it's a little weird. So I don't know how this is gonna work.
This is a little fun. You're like, I'm in uncharted territory.
Yeah, yeah. So
I'm in uncharted waters. I
went to Texas. I flew to Dallas from Vegas to Dallas, and they had a bunch of Texas stuff. And the wife was like, "Why don't you pick up a hoodie?" I was like, "I can't. That's would be criminal if I."
You're like, that's a little much.
Yeah,
it's a little much.
I was like, the hoodie's fresh, and the wife's like, "What?" I was like, if for any reason it ever got caught, I wear an MIT hoodie. Like, there's a whole backstory, and the Gator fans just eat me alive for the MIT. I'm like, they don't even have a football team, guys. Like, it has nothing to do with it. Like,
you're like, you're fine. You're like, they're geniuses. You're okay.
I
promise. You'll be fine.
Not even the same boat. Well, look, great stuff.
Hey, Texas did become a public Ivy.
I think everybody is. I feel like Florida did too. I think they're just handing those things out like.
No.
I think we did.
No, we are no.
I'm pretty sure Florida did. Pretty sure Florida did.
I mean, they might have. I don't know.
They're handing out like lollipops at the bank. Like they're just slinging them out at school at this point. Florida's the number one public.
You're a public Ivy. You're a public Ivy.
Florida was a number one public school. Like, that is an actual fact. So if you got an Ivy, we probably got Ivy squared. Look, we don't have much at the moment, so just let me have it. All right, well, look, fantastic updates on the recruiting stuff, on the transfer portal as well. Didn't think we'd have much to go over. We were trying to link up when it happened, but busy weekend, Mother's Day weekend. So all in all, we got our show in like we plan to every single Sunday. So if you guys are not subscribed, obviously smash the sub button, drop a like and a comment. Let us know your thoughts on landing these recruits on the big time Jermaine Lowell or Loyal, however is pronounced. Make sure you guys go give Lacey a follow on Twitter and YouTube. Tell them where they can find you at, Lacey.
So they can find me over on YouTube at Laced Up X Podcast. I'm over there every single Monday night, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, Texas time. I'm over there live with Coach Dub, aka Coach Charlie Williams. He is a current recruiting analyst over at Inside Texas and a former offensive analyst over at UNLV. So we have great conversations over there on Monday night. You can come see us over there then. But you can also come and see me and talk crap with me on Twitter over at Hook'em Lacey XOXO. That's Hook'em as in Hook'em Lacey XOXO.
I love it. Fantastic show last Monday. Your live was bumping on Twitter. The fans are going nuts.
We have fun.
Yeah, it was a good time. I hopped in there for a little bit. So be sure to smash the like button, subscribe. Until next time, I'm Shelton. That's Lacey. See you guys later. Peace and love, baby.
Hook'em.